Dun, 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 dun.
Hello, I am Phil Marriott. Welcome to Flick Flop, where four cinema lovers revisit a film from the past and decide if it is a must-see movie or a total dud. Sean Vickers, you have the right to remain silent, but it's probably a good idea you don't.
Yeah, probably not for this. Yeah. I mean, I can do if you like. I have got a big goal.
Gail Porter, you strike me as an 80s girl. When I say 1984, what do you think of?
The book, and also really rubbish films like Police Academy and Ghostbusters, everything in that sort of genre that you looked at when you were a kid going, that's not too bad, and then you watch it like I did yesterday and I thought, oh, this is just like, oh my god.
Philip Normal.
Hello, how are you?
Welcome to Flick Flop. We're so thrilled to have you here. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you so much for having me. It's like a real honour.
Can we congratulate you on your Latty shirt?
Oh,
An amazing
thank
thing
you.
for Terence Higgins Trust. We've all got one.
Thank you.
Well, Gail's got two.
Well, we've raised over £450,000 now for the Terence Higgins Trust, and I think that's a great achievement. Yeah, it's been a challenge.
Such a great
Thank
cause,
you.
not just for selling them, but raising awareness as well, which is brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was the first openly HIV positive mayor in the UK. I continue to promote that it's okay to live with HIV. It doesn't set you back. And I think that's the most important message that we can get out for people in the LGBT community, but also society as a whole.
I want the Guinness Book of Records there going, you make the most t-shirts ever in one day, and Norris McWhirter to give you a certificate.
Huge love to all of you. I mean, you've all been so supportive over this. So thank you.
So the movie we're talking about is a comedy. I'm going to say that in inverted commas, from 1984.
Is it a comedy?
It did an amazing job at the box office. I think it cost like $4.5 million to make.
Was all of that going to Steve Guttenberg?
So it's Police Academy. Sean, do you want to set the scene?
I'm going to try and do the most unproblematic plot. It's quite hard with this film. There's a new lady mayor, and they stress that it's a lady. And she has removed all types of discrimination from the police academy, allowing anyone now to join, which is ironic. We follow a set of cadets as they go through a 14-week program to become police officers, and we follow their wonderful and wild lives as they do so in a totally non-problematic way.
And so the fun begins.
See,
this is a really weird thing. I remember seeing it at the time, back in 1984, when I was, I'm going to reveal my age, at 14. And there are lots of things that I remember. The human beatbox guy. I remember the Blue Oyster Bar, obviously. I mean, who could forget that? And I remember that bloody theme tune that just seems to go round and round and round throughout this movie. Yeah. It's on a loop, and it's the most irritating theme tune ever.
I think that theme tune's a bit like that sea shanty.
Yeah, once it's in there, you can't get it out.
It's a bit like the Jurassic Park theme tune, that when you hear the Jurassic Park theme tune, it will be in your head for a month. It's a bit like that. It just goes dun, 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 on loop.
There was a song that we got taught at school, and it was 2 elephants go out to play upon a spider's web one day, and then they do it on a loop, and then you do like 20 elephants. It keeps going, and every time I was watching Police Academy, I was like, how many elephants? What's happening?
There's a lot of elephants in the room for this one, that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't remember how cheap it was. I mean, it's really cheap to look at. It reminded me of something from the 70s, like Starsky and Hutch or something. You can tell that a lot of the scenes were just filmed in a really small, cheap studio with bad lighting.
I just think this comedy punches down on people, and I find that really disappointing. We grew up with this, didn't we?
Looking back on it, I remember it not being funny at the time. I don't remember it being necessarily as offensive as I do now, because I suppose when you get older you realise that a lot of those jokes were just so poor.
Yeah, and like Friends is offensive now, but this is really offensive.
I think it's because it's poking fun at people that they thought you were meant to laugh at as opposed to laugh with, so that's the difference, isn't it?
Can we talk about the K-pop bit?
Before we slag it off, Philip,
on.
why don't we try and recreate the Blue Oyster Bar? Because I think it looks brilliant.
I think we're going to have to.
Forget the context. As the gay bar, it looks great.
Well, that's the irony, isn't it? Because they're painting it out to be this place that, you know, people scream when they go in there. It's like we saw the guys that kind of went in by accident and you hear that scream from behind the door towards the end. And I'm thinking, hang on a minute, that's the sort of place that I want to go to. Take me there. I want to dance to the tango with those guys.
I'll tell you where I want to go, you see, Phil. A place where you can go somewhere and it's not a joke to be LGBT, to be a woman, to be black. That's what I find problematic with this film.
When you hear the homophobia, when you hear, is it Lieutenant Harris?
Yeah.
When that dog starts humping he starts humping one of the other guy's legs, and Lieutenant Harris says he's a queer. I was like quite shocked by that. I don't remember that at the time.
Same, and we were growing up with that. If that was in the cinema, that would not pass the guidelines.
Mustard at his pulpit, that was just that very famous scene that, what's his name? It was the George Gaines, mocked for years about doing that pulpit scene. And he said, you know what, it made him extremely rich. Because he was in practically all of the films, wasn't he? Was there 6 or 7? Supposed to be a satire of Police Academy movies. Can you name any Police Academy movies?
That's the thing, because they're meant to be making an 8th one, but it's been in production since 2003, so that just tells you everything you need to know.
And I had to do a double take at Kim Cattrall. I didn't remember her being in it. Karen Thompson, the Guttenberg, and I didn't realise it was her.
And then she was in Mannequin. Kim Cattrall was in Police Academy. It's so weird. I find it so odd.
Lots and lots of boobs in it, especially that shower scene. Where Guttenberg is just
oh my god,
like,
don't. Oh my god, the bit. Oh my god, don't.
These were the days where we would sit at home and we had 4 channels, and this kind of film would come on at Christmas or at Easter, and we'd record it onto VHS, and we'd put it in a VHS drawer with all the other VHSs we recorded, like Beverly Hills Cop and Down and Out in Beverly Hills and all that kind of stuff. And then we would watch them religiously because we had them on tape. And we just had no context of what it meant. It was just a blockbuster film. And so when you go back and look at it, that's what I know you and I chatted about it a bit offline about this. We would just, all of this we just absorbed. We absorbed all this negative energy about otherness. Oh, there's this other. And you category. And if you're in the other category, then it's completely fair game to prod you. It was like Stockholm Syndrome. We were like, oh, we'll take it and we'll keep watching it. And this is actually the way it is. This is funny. And it's amazing to look back at it and just be almost shocked. We were weaned on this crap.
Why was it okay to punch down on people for fun and call it comedy and make money out of it?
It's weird, isn't it? And I just also think that the gags just aren't funny. It's not very well written either. I mean, that scene with the old woman who says, "Can you rescue my cat?" I mean, everybody talks about that scene where
it's the basic structure.
Tackleberry, you know, he was like gung-ho, gung-friendly, rolling over cars, and that's quite ironic because it's not so different in real life in America nowadays. That kind of was quite disturbing to watch it, and I thought, wow, that's not too far from the truth, really.
Yeah, true, because it's that kind of painted the picture of, oh, aren't we masculine? Aren't we, like, we're bashing the gays, and, you know, we're being cruel to animals as well, aren't we hard? No.
I think there needs to be a conversation about race over this film.
Absolutely.
Because Bubba Smith is made fun of during the whole film, and he's amazing and iconic. Race isn't funny, and this is meant to be a comedy.
It hooks as well. So when she was doing the training, the running, and she couldn't get over. She couldn't get over the wall because she was a woman, B, she's black. Then she's getting called a racist name at the end when Bubba Smith's character, Hightower, decides to, do the car over. It was very uncomfortable viewing.
Implying that some of them are stupid as well.
But the whole idea of that is planted at the beginning, because what they're basically saying is none of these people are good enough human beings to go into the police academy, but something has changed. And so we'll take anyone. And anyone actually is just a bunch of normal people, but they're painted as some kind of freaks. So that's where, from the very first, kind of Chiron that appears on the screen, that's it. It's telling you how it's going to work. I find that absolutely bonkers. I will say, I did have 3 positives.
You've got 3 positives.
Yeah, okay. One is Steve
How?
Guttenberg, because he is
when he takes his top
like awakened my magical being as a youngster in Cocoon. So, you know, I have to...
Oh my god, I forgot he was in Cocoon.
2 is that thing where, although it's awful, the big Kodak camera goes into the river, and I was like, that should be a London theme. Like a London themes thing where you can go up and down the Thames in a big Kodak thing. And the 3rd one, of course, is the legendary Blue Oyster Bar, which we should celebrate.
I've got one. G.W. Bailey was a mannequin. I think it's my favourite film of all time. So there we go.
I was so annoyed by that flip-flopping of the, you know, best scenario, worst scenario, where it goes to the campfire and they're having that party there on the beach, and there's, you know, a couple of women with their tops off, like dancing around the campfire, dancing topless, and then it flip-flops. Yeah, it goes back to Blue Oyster Bar. It's almost like it's heaven and hell. Hasn't aged well.
No, it definitely hasn't.
No, it really hasn't.
So the ultimate decision then, flick or flop, Sean?
So I did find 3 things that I liked about it in the entire film, all of which were just like things and objects rather than the actual script, direction, lighting, or any of those, or any of that. So it is, but unfortunately, it is a massive flop for me, massive, and I'm just disappointed that it was such a key part of my childhood.
I'm going to have to say that it is a huge flop for me, and I'm really annoyed, actually, because I didn't want it to be. Like Sean said, it was part of our upgrowing. Definitely a no and a flop. Yeah. And I really want to deconstruct it more.
Let's do that, Philip, in a game.
I will have to going to bed, and it's just going round and round my head. I didn't remember it being that bad, so I thought, well, do you know what? I'll watch it again. I've not seen it since I was 13 years old. I'm 50 now. I was watching it thinking, oh man, this is awful. But one of the good things I found out about it, it was actually filmed, part of it was filmed, the main building was a psychiatric institution in Toronto.
Wow, really?
I kind of resonated with that, what with my past and all that. It was quite nice.
How did you know that? Did you Google it? Was it on Wikipedia?
Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It looked like somewhere that I'd frequented a long time ago, and I'd read about it, and it sort of reminded me of the Shining building, and it's in Toronto because the Shining building, that's in Canada. Is it I don't know where it is. It's Colorado, isn't it? Don't know.
Wow.
But anyway, so there you go. So I found that out. But apart from that, it's an absolute massive flop for me, unfortunately.
I agree with all of you. It's a massive stinker for me. And this, again, quite sad because it's one of those films that, you know, I grew up with, and everybody I knew was saying, oh, it's such a classic, funny film. Watching it this time around after seeing it for so long was such a disappointment because it wasn't funny. Obviously, all the problems we discussed, but also it was just boring. I just wasn't entertained by it in the slightest.
Except for Stephen Guttenberg being topless.
Yeah, it doesn't really do anything for me, though.
Not me
Phil.
Yeah.
Phil,
Are you alright?
What I will say to you, to Phil and to Gail, I know you're both a bit like, meh. There's a moment in Cocoon where they're on the boat, it's nighttime.
Oh my god, don't.
Gone down to find the big pods that they're in, and Brian Dennehy's like there pottering around on deck, and Steve Guttenberg's just seen that one of the women is like this big spooky, like, you know, the things.
Do that again for Sean.
That was
worth a second go.
And he comes on. He runs onto deck because he's petrified, and he's in like he's in a tiniest tennis short, like tiny.
I remember.
He's got his hairy chest, and he runs on deck. And he's got his big curly hair, and literally, I don't know. It's a moment that, as you can tell, is etched into my mind.
We have unanimously, we've all agreed. Police Academy down the toilet. Get out. Off you go. Off you trot. Oh. Has he gone?
He's had enough.
Oh, I lost you.
Back.
Sorry.
Yeah. So yes, Police Academy, a big flop with Flick Flop. Thank you so much for watching. Listen, Philip Normal, so great to have you as a very special guest. Where can people find you?
Oh my god, you can find me at philipnormal.shop or at philipnormal on Instagram. Thank you so much for having me. Like, it's a real
Philip,
honor.
is the shop open? Is the shop in Brixton Village open?
Oh my god, the shop is open, which is really exciting, and I'm so glad that we can open now. One other thing that I wanted to say. I know, I'm very gobby. I've done a huge amount of work with our local police team in Oval, where I represent. And so, to talk about Police Academy, it's very funny. There is real life going on.
It's done, Philip. We can put it to bed and never speak of it again.
I could literally write a 2,000-page thing on this.
Do it on our Facebook page. Oh, we haven't got one. Do it on our Twitter. Not enough characters.
Or just one page, Philip, that says, don't do it.
Gail, you're doing so much as well. Podcasts and everything else.
Podcast, radio. I'm doing a bit more on Channel 4 and Steph's Packed Lunch in the next few weeks, which is quite good fun. Doing my writing, going up to Edinburgh. Just, you know me, just hanging on in there, keep smiling and all that. Hanging around Soho, doing my thing.
I love it. And I listened to your Louis Theroux podcast from last year while I was in the bath. That's an image for you. And it was amazing. Really enjoyed that.
Gail, can you get me on Steph's Packed Lunch, please?
Yeah, of course.
We can do it together.
Yeah, I'm sure she'd love that. I went on once as a guest and they've just asked me to go back on again. So, yeah, I may as well. I must have done something right. So,
Are you going to go on to talk about Police Academy, Philip?
Oh my God.
Oh, gosh.
No, I can't. No, because I gave you an exclusive.
That's what I like to hear. And Sean, Unflopped, your podcast continues to be very successful.
Thrilled. We continue into season 4. We are been submitted into the British Library, to their sound archive, which we are absolutely thrilled
fabulous.
about.
Applause.
Yeah, which is amazing. And we feel like, I just think about future human beings with very big heads listening to me talk about, Nadine Coyle in 10,000 years' time. I think there's something magical about that I hold on to.
I love it. I love you all very much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching, everyone. Don't forget to subscribe.
Thank you. Thank you.
See you all soon.
Bye. Bye.
Dun, 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 dun.